Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's get cozy, a journey to me. I am Clinisha, and as always, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I know I have revamped my channel a lot. I'm still trying to figure out what's working for me, but you know, a journey is just that. We go through emotional journeys, spiritual journeys, weight loss journeys, relational journeys, soul journeys. Like, it's so many journeys in life that we can go through. And that is pretty much what my channel is about. Just my journey in regards to spiritually, emotionally, physically, relational, friendships. All of that is a part of my journey. So don't be surprised if you hear me talking about anything other than relationships. So today's topic is going to be titled, "Let's Talk About Falling." To fall is to get back up again. And so with that said, I want to quote a song, a little snippet from a song from Donnie McClurkin, "We Fall Down." So it says, "We fall down, but we get back up. For a saint is just a sinner who fell down, but couldn't stay there and got back up." So when I first started my channel was pretty much about my celibacy journey, or shall I say, me abstaining from sex until marriage. Well, that journey lasted all of 19 months before I fell. Um, I fell simply because I stopped having boundaries. I stopped creating boundaries, and I started pushing my boundaries. So that is why I fell. And since then, I have been trying to make my way back to being full of purpose, moving forward in my life, moving forward with my purpose, with God's calling on my life. And I'm not gonna say it's easy, because it definitely has not been easy to get back on track. I've definitely had to force myself. I've had a spirit of conviction, so definitely making sure that I'm doing everything that I need to do, putting those boundaries back, creating those boundaries back around myself, and just making sure that I'm doing everything that I do in order to stay afloat and stay on track. So, I have a book in the works. I'm still working. The book is finished, but I'm still, working at it, going through editing and, adding, taking away some things. So please be on the lookout for that. I know I am in my night clothes, but I wanted to be obedient because this topic was definitely on my mind heavy. And what I've learned is that sometimes as human beings, we talk about all of the right things, but when we do wrong, we don't want to talk about the wrong things. So I wanted to make this video about me starting out right, but doing wrong and getting back on track to do the right thing. During my celibacy journey, this is just me being completely transparent with you all. I thought I was better than everybody, but I still had a messed up attitude. Like, the only thing I was just really working on was just me not engaging in sexual activity. But I forgot about that I needed to really transform my inside, my attitude, how I react, how I respond. I needed to work on all of that. Me not having sex was just a part of me staying clear. However, that was just a small, minor piece. I had to figure out that I had to work on my total self, my whole self, and not just a percentage of myself. And so, me not having sex, I thought I was better than other people until I had this big wake up call. And the wake up call was when I had sex. And after that, I was just like, wow, it's easy. It's easy to fall, especially when you don't create those boundaries, or especially when you push the boundaries that you have created for yourself. And for me, I made excuses for myself. I made excuses for me falling. I made excuses for me staying on the ground. And it was like, no, you cannot stay there. Yes, you've fallen. Yes, you've sinned for a season, but you absolutely cannot stay there because you feel like God is blessing other people that have stayed in that position. God did not call you to stay down. He called you to get back up and to start back walking in the path that He has ordained for you. Plus, also, I am my biggest critic. Like, I am super hard on myself. When I set a goal for myself and I do not accomplish that goal, or I'm not doing everything to get that goal to align, I start second guessing myself. I get stressed, depressed, like cry. I'm a crybaby. And so when I know that I am not doing what I need to do in order to walk along that path, it weighs heavy on me. Especially since I have a spirit of conviction, it definitely weighs heavier on me than most. And so I couldn't stay where I was. But one thing that I did learn in that process is that it's easy to fall, and it's easy to fall, especially when we are living in a fallen world. It's easy to do things that everybody else is doing because you see good things are happening for those people, especially when it's the things that you want. They're making the money that you want to make. They're having children. They're getting married. They're getting engaged. Like all of those next level type of ordeals. They're getting the business. Like all of those things that you see that people are getting that you want, and you know that they're not doing right, that can start to weigh in on a person, and you feel like, oh well, God is blessing them because God is blessing them and they're not living right. Maybe it's God blessing them, maybe it's the devil. Who knows? Nobody really knows. And I had a conversation with one of my law sisters um about that very thing, and she was like, God loves all of us. You know, He's a gracious God, and you just have to be very careful of what you allow yourself to do because you see somebody else doing it. And when she told me that, it really stuck with me, which is another reason that prompted this video. So, I talked myself up. I'm not gonna lie. I talked myself up. I definitely thought that I was doing better than most, and God quickly reminded me that sometimes, you know, people just stay on the ground, and in those times, you yourself have to be willing to look up and to reach up to God's hand and be like, God, I got myself here. I can't get myself up. Like I need your help. And I know that I am human. I know that I can be inadequate. I know that I am weak. I know that I can be led by my flesh. And so what I learned about myself in that moment is that I should not think so highly of myself, because in the snap of a finger, I was living in the world, being a part of the worldly behaviors. Also, in those moments, I was still trying to do what I needed to do, such as God's purpose for my life, but I found myself to be straddle fenced. I had one leg, I was literally sitting on the fence. I had one leg on the righteous side, I had the other leg on the center side. And when I say it got so bad, it got bad to the point of this was me literally foreplaying, knowing that I'm about to have sex, praying to God, telling God that I am about to have sex, praying to God during the time I am having sex, and then praying to God and repenting after the fact. Like, that's how bad it got for me. And in those moments of praying, I was still very weak to run from that temptation. And I stayed down for September all the way up until now. Well, not now, but like last month is when I finally got to the point of you can't continue to be straddle fence. You have to pick a side, and you have to be able to walk in the purpose, because how are you going to be able to talk, give advice to people when you haven't necessarily walked it out? And even on this path that I am now, I can be more genuine about it, because not saying that I couldn't be genuine at first, but now I can be more genuine, more understanding about it, because I know for myself that it's a struggle, especially when you see everybody else doing it. Not saying that I was peer pressure, because I wasn't. I made the decision to have sex knowing that God told me that I needed to wait to have sex, knowing that I promised to God, that I made a promise to God that I was going to wait until I had sex, until I was married. So I'm not going to give excuses for myself, because wrong is wrong. And I'll never tell anybody to have sex out of the context of marriage, because that is wrong. We do it, yes. But just because we do it and just because everybody else does it does not make it right. So some scriptures that I wanted to talk about is pretty much just the same scripture as Romans 12:3, but I wrote it down in two. I wrote it down in the NIV version, and I wrote it down in the NLT version. And each version talks and will speak to you in a different manner. So Romans 12:3, NIV, it says, "For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you." And then in another version, which is the NLT version, it says, "Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us." That is so very important, that we do self-evaluations before we try to pass any judgment on anybody else. It is important for us to do self-evaluations before we try to think that we are better or higher than anybody else. Because one thing that we have to realize is that we never know the choices that other people are faced with. And another thing is that them being in those situations, we have to realize that it's just as easy for us to fall ourselves if we are not protecting ourselves, if we are not protecting our own boundaries, if we are not trying to walk it out with God, it's very easy for us to fall. And I'm going to leave you all with this. Just because you fall doesn't mean you have to stay there. And I'm going to be honest, you may stay there for a season before you make the decision that you have to be intentional, and you have to be full of purpose, and you have to be willing to pull your own self up, or ask God to help you to pull yourself back up. Because sometimes we dig these holes for ourselves, and we continue to dig and we continue to dig, and before you know it, we're 6 feet underground. And in those moments, sometimes it's hard for us to try to get out ourselves. We need the help of God. We need the help of other people that have walked it out. And that really gives me the chills to just know that I had the audacity to try to judge anybody because I went 19 months without sex. I know people that have went 10, 20 years. But I'm also going to say this before I log off. Continue to have those boundaries. Continue to set boundaries and live within those boundaries. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like I said, I haven't had sex since last month. But it's not only about the sex. It's about you working your whole body. It's about you addressing your whole self and coming to realization of everything that you need to work on. You need to work on yourself 100% and not just in 10%, 15%, 20%. You have to work on yourself the whole 100%, because everything works together. Your mental capacity, your physical capacity, your spiritual capacity, all of those work together in the same. Your total mind, body, and spirit, all of that has to be in alignment for you to be able to be intentional, for you to be able to walk it out, for you to be able to walk in your purpose and in God's calling that He has on your life. So I pray nothing but blessings for you all. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and please share if this video touched you in any form or fashion. I love you all. I wish you all nothing but the best in life. And if you ever have any questions, comment and I will respond. Until then, let's get cozy. A journey to me. Let's talk about falling. To fall is to get back up again. You can fall, but don't stay there. Get back up. Peace out.